My fellow citizens and friends of Trinidad and Tobago, it is a pleasure to join you in commemorating the Diamond Jubilee of Independence of our nation and to extend best wishes to you on behalf of the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. As we gather to celebrate this auspicious occasion, it would be appropriate for us to recall our country's path to independence, to salute the visionaries who made it happen, and to reflect on our progress in developing a nation of which we can and must all be proud. It is incumbent upon us to teach the next generation about that fateful day on August 31st, 1962, when the red, white, and black of Trinidad and Tobago was first hoisted over Port of Spain. Since then, our twin island nation has forged ahead in creating our own national identity based on a unique multicultural society with faith in God, respect for each other, and a drive to seek out betterment, with a love for country and commitment to democracy. These ambitions are firmly rooted in the watchwords discipline, production, and tolerance, given to our nation by the late Dr. Eric Eustace Williams, first Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Nation building is a continuous process. And at 60 years old, I am of the firm belief that for a young democracy, our country has done quite well. There have been advancements in all facets of life, and the standard of living has improved since independence for the majority of our population. We have identified and pursued a range of opportunities given our unique human and natural resources, our geostrategic position, and the spectacular creativity of our people. We have witnessed excellence by many of our sons and daughters from both islands, some of whom have gone abroad and performed in sectors such as education, science, medicine, engineering, sports, and of course, the arts and culture. We have faced many challenges which have contributed to a society that has developed resilience in the face of adversity. We're in the midst of one such challenge right now, the COVID-19 pandemic, which has taught us all once again the value of family, friends, and neighbors at the personal level as well as at the country level. For without the assistance of our friends in the global arena, we would not have had a successful response to COVID-19. As we look to the future, while the challenges are many, the current government, led by Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley, is committed to Vision 2030, a national development strategy that aims to achieve developed country status by the year 2030. Bringing this vision to fruition will not only require government's efforts, but also that of all our citizenry, both at home and abroad. At this juncture, I wish to emphatically acknowledge your resilience and your perseverance in making new homes for yourselves overseas, and to express my appreciation and gratitude to you for maintaining your bonds with Trinidad and Tobago. In some instances, there are generations of Trinbagonians overseas who still maintain the strongest connections to the land we love. This gives testimony to the strength of our national identity, which flows through the veins of every Trinbagonian, wherever we reside. Through determination and hard work, many of you are beacons in your respective communities, professionals, entrepreneurs, and yes, activists, and I salute you. Your exemplary life makes you ambassadors for Trinidad and Tobago because your roots have contributed to your success today. Further, your individual accomplishments have rendered you experts in your respective fields, and your expertise is important to us as we seek to move our country forward. As we celebrate our beloved nation's 60th birthday, I ask you to give a thought to how you and your Diaspora organization can invigorate your bond with Trinidad and Tobago. Our onward march of progress is one which neither the government nor the people within Trinidad and Tobago can do alone. It requires collective effort. It requires your involvement. I therefore encourage you to engage in meaningful dialogue with our diplomatic and consular representatives overseas to explore ways to deepen your engagement with Trinidad and Tobago. And yes, our staff has a key role to play in that regard as well. The next chapter for our country requires patriotism, sacrifice, integrity, creativity, and partnership on so many levels. And when I speak of partnership, the words of the great David Michael Rudder come to mind. He said, "Some of the old generals have retired and gone, and the runs don't come as they did before." My friends of the Diaspora, it is now your innings. It is now our innings. Inspired by our foreparents, let us work together and rally around the nation. Remember, together we aspire, together we achieve, and that includes all of us in Trinidad and Tobago and our precious Diaspora. May God bless you and your families, and may God richly bless our nation. Happy 60th anniversary of independence.
This was a production of the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs.
So we have heard from our Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, and indeed he touched on one or two points that are very important. They were not highlighted in my address, but I can summarize it like this. We have basically moved from the brain drain in 1962 to the brain gain in 2022 with the TNT Diaspora. And a couple of these persons are in our mix who are contributing to the brain gain, and that will underline much of what you will hear during the course of the day. So we thank the Honorable Minister, and we know sometime in the future we will have an opportunity to visit him and be engaged. So at this point in time, we are getting ready to hear from the person representing Chief Secretary today. And that is, as I said, no other than our beloved Faith Israel. I love the woman, I can tell you, I see that. I'm so distant, but I see it. She runs out to all the engagements. I'm fortunately to have her on my status, and I see Woodward today, Belgrade tomorrow, Richmond, Louis, you know, she's really in with her community. And let me just say a little bit about this good lady. Dr. Faith B. Israel is a social scientist whose focus is health education, program development, and implementation. Dr. Faith is the chairperson of Iman Bet Nesset Foundation, an NGO that provides health and wellness opportunities for special communities. She is also very active with various youth-focused organizations in her community. Dr. Faith has also delved into active politics in an effort to continue impacting the social needs of her community. She's currently the area representative for Belgrade, Glamorgan, and serves as the Secretary of Health, Wellness, and Social Protection. It is my distinguished honor to ask Dr. Faith to take the floor at this time.
Thank you for that very warm welcome, Dr. Phillips. It is indeed a pleasure standing here speaking with you on behalf, of course, of the Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly. And I must say that if you think that my engagement is packed, I would encourage you to look at the Chief Sec's engagement and to see that he does possibly 10 times what I do in any given day. So that is why I jumped at the opportunity today to speak on his behalf, because he's already dashing out to other places to continue doing the amazing work that he has been doing. First, let me start by, as the minister indicated, saying happy independence to all of us. This is indeed a wonderful year. It is indeed a special year. It is indeed one that we need to be extremely proud of, because it means we've gone many, many decades and we are now 60 years old. 60 is one of those ages that you're ripe and you are at that point where, if you are like my mother, you say exactly what is on your mind, and you no longer worry about being years has taught us, as in the pandemic has taught us, is that we are all actually much closer. Pandemic. We also learned that even though we are all many miles away from each other, that distance did not prevent us from communicating with each other. That distance did not prevent us from doing what we now know as remote work. That distance now allowed us to do what we now call this thing that many of us didn't know before 2019, 2020, Zoom, that allows us to be in almost every place at a single time, interacting in a way that we had not been able to interact before the pandemic. So I'm asking us to look carefully and to gain some of the to learn carefully some of the lessons that were taught to us by this pandemic. We learned to use our resources wisely, and that is on every level. In our homes, we figured out how to go from 2 salaries to 1 or even a half, because we had to stay home, because we had mass retrenchment, because we had several people now not being able to make the kinds of money that they did before. We learned to take care of our neighbors, because suddenly not seeing your neighbor outside, not seeing them for a couple days, possibly meant that they were actually very, very ill, and that you needed to call them and check on them. It means that we had to learn to not think of ourselves as much as we did before, but recognize that there are other people who are experiencing pain and experiencing sadness and experiencing loss, possibly 10 times worse than you were experiencing before. So we learned a whole lot from the pandemic. One of the resources we learned two days worth of travel to get to a little village called Nyakahanga in Tanzania. It's very close to the northern border of Tanzania. And while there, I found a little bench, an old school bench that had a Trinidad and Tobago flag stuck on it. And I thought to myself, you have got to be kidding me. It took me 3 days to get here, and I was not the first Trinbagonian there. That tells you how far and wide we are as a community. We're there everywhere. No matter what country you go to, you will find a Trinbagonian there, and you will find a Trinbagonian there very proudly stating, "I from Trinidad and Tobago." And that human resource is what we need to continue leveraging. That is what we need to continue using to ensure that we do not just think of ourselves as the 1.2 or 1.3 million that is sitting right here, but that we are the million about the investments. We spoke about working together. We spoke about ensuring that we learn from each other. There are all of these skills that you come with. We each come with our own unique sets of skills. There are technologies. This weekend I spent some time refusing to do work this weekend. And that meant I had a little bit of time watching television. That included looking at CNN and looking at NASA about to launch a human rocket to the moon. And this is the first one. Well, they're doing a test run this week. And this is going to be the first time in many decades that a human is actually on a spaceship heading past the moon. And I sat there and I thought to myself, but we in Trinidad and Tobago, we now figuring out an iPhone. There are spaces where we are sending people to the moon, and they are talking about developing this vest that would prevent those individuals when they are returning to not get burnt up by the atmosphere. There's an entire world of technologies that's happening out there that many of us, because we are just on the islands, and we've not been exposed, we don't even know it's happening all the way out there. Many of our very simple problems, for example, within the Tobago House of Assembly space, many of those can be solved by some of the very simple technologies that is known as old to other parts of the world. But to us, we are not aware of them. And it goes back to our human resource. It goes back to us ensuring that those of you who may not be resident in Trinidad and Tobago, but love Trinidad and Tobago probably even more than those of us who are resident, can say, you know what? We saw you all having this issue with this bridge, or with this situation at school, or with this situation at the hospital. And where I work, we have just developed something, or we are using something that can help with that. Let's have of development. Of course, the word I am not using is partnership. Because I've been speaking about those of you who are in the diaspora, what you can do, or what you are bringing, or what you can contribute. But partnership is a two-way road. It means that those of us who are on the island, those of us who are in Trinidad and Tobago, also need to be very, very clear that when you come with what some of us call pie in the sky ideas, that they're not really pie in the sky, that we actually sit and have conversations and listen to what you're saying and think through very carefully that this is a reality. Of hoops that makes you want to just shoop your teeth on your back and go back. How can we do that? How can we, for example, as a Tobago House of Assembly, say to you that if you are coming with this new technology, with this new skill, with this new business idea, that we can work with you so that you now have access to land, so that you can build your factory, or so that you can put up your office, so that you can bring that technology or that thing to us. That is the kind of partnership we need to ensure that we are building, where it is not just us, because it seems sometimes that's what we are doing, that those of us who are in country, those of us who are on island, all we're doing is begging those of you who are out there to give. and not what, so I'm talking to myself as well. That is what I'm eternally thankful that you are doing that kind of work, making those connections, making those partnerships, so that we really can work together to ensure that not just the 1.2 or 3 million of us are working on developing Trinidad and Tobago, but that the millions of us that are all over are doing the same. I absolutely love the theme: reconnect, rediscover, rejuvenate. Those watchwords, or to get those words actioned, because it's nice to just have them on a nice looking banner, and it's nice to speak about them, but the work to make them real, that takes time, that takes effort, and that takes a lot of hard work, and I am congratulating you on putting the work in to get that really done. So it is an honor, it is a pleasure to speak on behalf of my Chief Secretary, Mr. Farley Chavez Augustine, and to speak on behalf of the entire Tobago House of Assembly, and to say to you, the members of the Trinbago Diaspora Outreach Network, that it is an honor to declare this groundbreaking, this much needed conference open, because this is what it takes to really ensure I thank you. Oh, yes.
Thank you. A very enlightening address from the Secretary. I want to indicate that the Secretary, I said earlier, she's about her community, and there is a clash. She had some other events, another event to go to. That would be in the, she will be leaving here by 10 o'clock, so she wouldn't be able to fully be part of that session, but I think there's somebody from her department that would be able to digest all and share any content. I want to commend the Secretary for being the first person in the THA, the first person in the Executive Council, to actually make a call for the diaspora input, which she did when she got into office and realized the dilemma challenge that we had. And so I am not privy to how much of a response you got. She was one of my schoolmates, that she came to assist. But I also want to say this, that the medical arena is a place where the diaspora has been embarrassed most often prior to your arrival. And I will not call names, but it goes back into the 1990s. Since 1977, with the California, the TNT Medical Review. Right. And My head raising here. Because you were outside, studying and going all the way up to a doctorate, I know you would have that essence, that understanding of how the yearning people want to go back home and do work. This, I submit, is clearly changing. We see a new rainbow, and we wish you all the best in what you are about to do. In this regard, before we go into this first panel session with Stephen Isaac and his colleague thereafter, I am asking organization she's involved in the UK and what they are doing and what they would like to continue to do in Trinidad and Tobago.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. We may be small in number, but I think it's going to be very impactful. As Dr. Phillips said, or Andre said, I am Trisha Zenisha George, daughter of the soil, born and bred here in Tobago. I attended Teacher Virgie Nursery School in Calder Hall. I attended Scarborough RC, and I attended Bishop's High School. Not the new building that you see now, not that one, yeah, and not the new one for Scarborough RC either. Anyway, I moved to the UK to pursue a career in nursing. I am still in healthcare, but I am no longer clinical and hands-on. Dr. Phillips would like me to mention and re-mention to Dr. Faith is the Trinidad and Tobago Healthcare UK Forum. And we are comprised of Trinidad and Tobago nationals. Most of us function in healthcare. And our push and aim really in TTHUF is to get involved more so in policies and procedures here in Trinidad and Tobago, because we have recognized that over the decades, people of the diaspora, the Trinidad and Tobago diaspora, have been sending, as you know, equipment and so on back home, can you do procedures, etc. But we do recognize that we have what we view as a significant weaknesses in our system. So we are of the view, yes, you can do the operations, you can send the equipment, but in terms of what happens after, what leads up to it, how you then go from there, there are many gaps. And we would like to be involved in a partnership, in a collaboration on many different levels where we can actually address and work towards the systemic issues that we have to strengthen the healthcare services that Tobago is very primed to provide, and not just Tobago, but Trinidad. And when I met with Dr. Faith back in March, yes, I expressed to her that my view is that Tobago is so well placed in terms of a lot of the infrastructure that we already have here on the island, but not necessarily being put to full use. And it would be, and it is, I should say, a dream of mine to almost see Tobago get to a utopian state where healthcare is concerned. We know that we have many healthcare issues amongst our nationals here, not just in Tobago, but in Trinidad, across the country. And there are many things that can be done not just to address the current issues that we have in terms of the disease processes that we're seeing, but also have the science and the research backing that up and putting the processes in place so we become more of a health promotion island rather than just addressing the healthcare issues, the diseases, etc., when they present themselves. And, you know, looking at lifestyle change, working with our specialists that we have here, identifying the healthcare specialist issues that we have. So I am saying to Dr. Faith, we're still around, we're still very keen to get a project or two off the ground. And what I mentioned to her is discovering that as Tobagonians, we do actually have a gene defect where our hearts are concerned. Cardiology is quite a big issue here in Tobago, but it goes undetected most of the time. And we know that renal failure is also on that list, and all the things that go with that, and all the things that actually lead to that, diabetes, strokes, etc. So we would really, as that organization, like to get involved, be able to put forward a project proposal or two, and see who else we can collaborate with here in Trinidad and Tobago and elsewhere in the diaspora to get those projects off the ground for the benefit of the people of Tobago first and the nation second. So I will stop there if that's all right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Trisha, and much more work ahead under that umbrella body. We, at this point in time, know that the secretary has to leave, as I mentioned before. So I would just ask that Ms. Ramuta escort her out. We thank you so much for coming. We would take a 5-minute break while we get the reimagining healthcare activity set up, and a couple little changes will be made. Because I'm not too sure if Stephen is using a PowerPoint presentation. I don't think he is. No? He will speak from the mic. Okay, so the first official contributor under this well-styled team, Reimagining Healthcare, will come to the floor now. Oh, he just wants 2 minutes. It is my honor to invite the president of Trinbago Progressive Association, which is a incorporated nonprofit out of New York. And as I said earlier, they would have done a number of missions to Tobago. The last one I think was 2018. And now they are getting ready to resume those kinds of missions. But the medical outreach program we conducted in Tobago last week, 3 days of medical outreach, they were done with the leadership of Trinbago Progressive Association, and in particular, Mr. Stephen Isaac. I therefore want to welcome Mr. Stephen Isaac to address you.
Okay, good morning and thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure having you here today, and I just want to wish for everyone present here and by extension, our country, Trinidad and Tobago, celebrating its 60th anniversary of independence. In the same token, the organization that Dr. Phillips mentioned about just a few minutes ago, Trinbago Progressive Association, we were actually celebrating our 32nd year this year, 2022. And even going a little further, my third not-for-profit organization, APC Community Services, where we do work mostly in the Caribbean and also in Ghana, where we are actually building a school that started back in 2018, we have celebrated our 25th anniversary in March of this year. And we worked together as a team in collaboration with the South Caribbean Conference of Trinidad and Tobago of the Caribbean. Also, we in partnership with the Tobago Mission of Seventh-day Adventists, and my involvement with TDON as the New York director, as the vice chair, and also as the medical director. We've incorporated all these areas together, with Trinidad being headed by Ms. Victoria Dakota, whom I have been working with over the years. She's been doing a tremendous job. So together we can do so much more than just one organization. TDON celebrating 1 year this year and was able to conduct what I would say is a most successful venture so far and still continuing. Now I must apologize a bit for this part of the program. We did have a panel discussion scheduled for this time with Dr. Ricardo, Bobb, and also Dr. Gerard Antoine. Unfortunately, my director, my president, to do something a little different from what was planned. And that we benefit from what has been provided. So in my hand, I have a brochure here. Copy to anyone who does not have a copy once we complete with this. And I was asked by my president cardiovascular, but I guess we will reserve that. And this is much simpler. I think that might be his rationale. So this is titled, Follow the Rainbow to Perfect Health. What are we talking about here? Follow the rainbow to perfect health. I just want to ask 3 questions in launching or trying to unpack this. Do you want to live longer? You don't have to answer that question. I guess the answer is obvious. Do you want to feel happier? 3rd question. Do you want to think sharper? I will simply urge you to pile your plate with color. Now, what am I talking about here, piling your plate with color? Am I asking you to get a plate, a physical plate, get some color pencils or markers and just, pile your plate with them? Is that what we're talking about? You could respond. All right, so what are we talking about here? Now, basically, what we're talking about is your diet or nutrition, right? Now, we understand that digestion starts with what? Pretty much your eyes, right? It also has to do with your smell. So what we're saying here when we're talking about colors, we're talking about the different colors of food, that when you see them, it opens up your appetite and give you the opportunity to get that desire to sit, because eating should be such a nice process. It should be something that you should enjoy. You shouldn't be distracted while you're eating. You should focus on what you're eating. So these nice colors coming together help you to achieve that particular goal. And this was a project that was done some years ago for Trinbago Progressive Association. And we've had, since then, thousands of these copies. We make thousands of copies, and they're all across Africa, all across the globe. So if you have an organization that might require some of these, then you can just check with me and we will be able to. So what I'm going to do in the interest of time, we're running a little backwards in time with respect to what we should have been doing. So I'm going to just go through just a few of them. And I'll start with the color purple. Now, I must hasten to add that even if the example I use here might not be something that is consistent with what we have in the country or available, but there are other things that might not be mentioned that would carry a color similar to what is mentioned and be able to give you the same benefits, okay? So I didn't really get a time, Mr. President. How much time do I have now? 5 minutes? Okay, 5 minutes. So I'm going to, somebody just be a timekeeper for me, Mr. President. You could indicate to me at 4 minutes so I could just wrap up. So I'll just give a few of them and I'll start with the color purple. And I'll eat purple to stay limber. And what I'm talking about here is foods of royal hue, like grapes, figs, prunes, raisins, plums. They help prevent joint problems. Studies have actually shown that. What are grapes? Grapes are actually loaded with antioxidants, and these antioxidants are proven to reduce the inflammation associated with arthritis, and they also contain boron, a mineral shown to prevent even severe joint pains. So here we have resveratrol, one of the most powerful antioxidants in the grape that allows the opportunity for these antioxidants to destroy the toxins and free radicals you have in your body. But it also, in addition to the resveratrol that is in the grape, we also have boron. And that is, boron has the effect of relieving even severe joint pains. So when you use the grape, you're getting that double benefit from the resveratrol and also from the boron. I'll go on to green. And we say eat green to protect your eyesight. So we have leafy green vegetables like watercress, kale, collard green, mustard green, spinach. They're all filled with lutein. What is lutein? Lutein is a chemical that protects the eyes from aging. It's even been found to lower the odds of macular degeneration, which is the most common cause of vision loss in folks older than 50 by 43%. Lutein also lowers breast cancer risk, according to the National Cancer Institute. And since cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cabbage, they're also filled with a cancer-reducing chemicals called indoles. Eating just a cup or so a day keep your eyes young and prevent cancer. I'll move on. Eat red to make yourself disease-proof. What are we talking about here? We're talking about tomatoes, watermelons, and red bell peppers has been found to prevent heart disease and estrogen-related cancers, and red apples, which are rich in quercetin, are proven heart health booster. So these are three that we've looked at, and we'll go on to blue, the color blue. Eat blue to keep your brain sharp. Do you want your brain to be sharp? No? Okay. Studies have found that anthocyanins, which is the antioxidants responsible for blueberries' color, can also heighten learning capacity, motor skills, and memory, says Dr. Naidu. They can even keep your brain young. Now, joint studies from Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and the National Institute of Aging found that berries protect against cognitive impairment and even Alzheimer's disease. And just a handful a day is enough to do the trick. Eat white to fight allergies. And I'm going to end on this one. White food like onions, potatoes, and garlic are packed garlic to have antibiotic properties that are similar to penicillin. I want to thank you so much, and as I said, we will be available, that we could continue. We have quite a few more, yellow and red, and about mangoes that actually contain properties that can help us to release and to get ourselves free. One mango contains 7 grams of bowel-friendly fiber. And there you go. Thank you so much. May God continue to bless you as we continue with our program for today. Thank you, Dr. Phillips, for having me here.
Powerful sharing, the color coding for our life. We should not make light of it. And all of this is part of the theme of reimagining healthcare. We would move to the second presenter under this particular health agenda, who is Mr. Ricardo Bobb. He actually has a government role. He is in the public health department as the most senior public health officer in Tobago. But I look at him as a botanist, a naturopathic person. And I'm still learning more about the wide width of this man, who has been able to command 200 people on Zoom for sessions that he would do from time to time. So without further ado, let me ask, and he's not using PowerPoint. Let me ask our goodly specialist, Mr. Ricardo Bobb, to take the floor.
Thank you, thank you. A happy Monday to all. All right, you'll be quiet in the room. Now, usually when I do sessions, I like to get among the people. I don't know if I can do that today if they're recording. I like to be a little bit closer to the folks. Things. So I usually have to clarify a little bit of things. So yes, I am a public health inspector. Chemistry and many other things. So today we want to talk a bit about some of you, because you live in that body and you need to understand the house in which you live, not so? Your house that you live in, whether it's an apartment or what, there is an entry area, and then of course you have a living area, dining area, kitchen. You have bedrooms, maybe guest room, washing area. Well, you have the same thing in the house that you live. So let's see how much you understand about the house you live, and then we want to kind of look at a bit of how we treat with some chronic issues. We're not going to get very specific today. So let's go right in. Now, you live in that house, and your normal house is either made of some kind of material, either brick or wood or maybe plastic, I don't know. In some places they're having plastic houses, yeah? What is the building block of the human habitation? So small we cannot see, it's the cell. We are made up of cells. All of us are made up of cells. Cells make up tissues, make up organs, make up systems, make up the organism. That's the way God designed it. Now, I don't know what made him come up with that design, but it's a wonderful design. That he could take dirt and fashion it into you and me. Right. So now, but to understand how we are, we need to look a little closer. If cells make up tissues, make up organs, make up systems, make up the organism, what do cells require to be healthy and strong? Because in this room there are professionals doing varying things, and we are utilizing this body, this organism, to achieve things. Doctors, lawyers, teachers, preachers, you name it. Everybody is doing something else with the cells that make up tissues, make up organs, make up systems, make up the organism. What then do cells require? Because the incidence of sickness is escalating. You would agree that things like diabetes, high blood pressure, arthritis, whether it is osteo or rheumatoid arthritis, is on the rise. You would agree that post-retirement dementia is increasing. Not so? Right, especially among our women folk. Do you know why? Why are people not getting better? Why are we talking about disease management as opposed to disease getting rid of? We have grown accustomed to living in that kind of environment. The reasons for it, we're not going to talk about today. But very important is for us to understand that life happens at what we call the cell level. That's where life happens. Cells need actually 4 things to be healthy. Anybody want to guess? Don't worry, in my classes there are no wrong answers. Bit of the alphabet, the ABC approach. Oxygen activates cell. Without oxygen, there can be no activation. Now, they need nutrients to build tissues. So we talk about A and B. Oxygen to activate, nutrients to build. Any system that utilizes oxygen and nutrients to do work will produce what? Energy. And in the production of energy, there is what we call WASTE, waste. Now, that waste must be removed efficiently from the system, or the cells are going to be swimming in their own filth. Sickness is caused by some deficiency, either in deficiency in oxygen uptake, nutrient uptake, or waste removal. At the cell level, oxygen uptake, nutrient delivery, and waste removal is occurring at a speed of about 80 times per second. Think about that. What is operating to give you an idea of that kind of speed? Everybody here knows the hummingbird. You know the hummingbird just wave. It is estimated that a hummingbird flutters its wings about 80 times per second. That is the speed at which oxygen is being delivered, nutrient delivered, and waste is removed from the cell. Now, so those are 3 things. There's one more thing that the cell needs. Oxygen, nutrients, waste removal. To maintain the structure. In that environment that the cells live, we call that the biological terrain. The biological terrain is the environment the cells live. So any dysregulation anywhere will cause some kind of disturbance in the biological terrain, and it is in the biological terrain that disease is going to occur, whether acute, subacute, chronic, or degenerative. What does that mean? So let's look at something like, before we go there, let's just get a little bit more into the biological terrain. The biological terrain, think of it as that chemistry in which the cells live. In that situation, there's what we call homeostasis. What is homeostasis? Balance. Everything is working the way it should. Oxygen is going in well, nutrients is going in well, waste is being removed well. Anything that upsets the biological terrain is going to create what we call inflammation. What is inflammation? Now, for most people, inflammation is that yellow stuff that you see there. No, that's the end, actually. But inflammation is the body's initial response to irritation, infection, or some kind of trauma. Anytime the body has some kind of irritation, some kind of infection or trauma, whether that trauma is psychological, emotional, there is going to be the production of inflammation. So you go to the doctor and the doctor says, oh, you have lots of inflammation. Did you ask the doctor what does he mean by that? You live in this body, you need to know. Whenever the body starts the inflammation process, the body is saying there is something wrong in the biological terrain, which means the cells are being affected, and we need to fix it. The body is talking. You know, when you listen to the national budget, and the Minister of Finance talks about fiscal measures and austerity measures, 99% of the population have no clue what it means. All they want to know, flour raise, rice raise, gas raise. Yeah? Now, because of the kind of ignorance in many things, we are not understanding what is happening in our bodies. So, when we hear inflammation, what does it mean? It means the body is trying to deal with something that is stressing it. When it comes to what we call causal relationships, what cause? Cause. We hear a lot about causal relationships. Now, some of the things that you may hear may sound different from what germs are going to seek their natural environment. Tissues become diseased due to lack of oxygen, lack of nutrients, or waste removal. And as they become diseased, the germs that are present are going to seek their natural environment, just as mosquitoes are going to seek stagnant water to lay their eggs. The stagnant water does not cause the mosquitoes. The mosquitoes are drawn to the environment. In other words, the issue of disease happens in the biological terrain, the environment in which the cells live. What are we doing in the to cause a dysregulation in our biological terrain? Well, I'll give you a clue. And tomorrow night, we're going to talk about diabetes. Many people are measuring the sugar, you know. If the blood sugar is high, maybe your grandmother, your mother, or even you. And if your blood sugar is high, you have diabetes. But is that really, really true? And I say to folks, there's nothing wrong with the sugar. There's nothing wrong with it. The sugar is the result, not the cause. Just the same way that germs are not the cause, they are the result. So you may say, but how this person gets sick? There are emotional factors, so there are some people who are more predisposed to something than others. Then you didn't come you and this tree, we do not know. And then for most of us, we live in a world of make-believe. When we dress up, we all look nice. But what is going on in here? It is said that the 4 root causes of disease, what they do is that they dysregulate or interfere with change the biological terrain. Remember, what is the biological terrain? The environment in which the cells live. In that environment, they must be able to have adequate oxygen, adequate nutrients, and the removal of waste. So then what are those 4 major causes of disease? Number 1, we spoke about it. Emotional and mental trauma. Anybody here have never been through any kind of stressful event? You know, a broken heart? Oh Lord, yeah, everybody, okay. Somebody steal your money. a bad investment, or maybe a hurricane? Have you ever flown through a storm and you said, Lord, this is my last, and you thought you were going to die, you confess all your sin? All right? Or you're in an abusive relationship, yes, some people are in those things. Or simply you have children, and the children not responding. And you think, well, I've done all that I could do, and, the children are not responding. Those stressful events. The next thing is that the demands of work. Now, the work environment is filled with women today. If you go into your own life, women, you have a period. Do you know what your cycle does to your psyche? You need to understand what your cycle does to your psyche. The dance of the hormones, estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, is very important in your life. And that's one of the reasons after retirement, a lot of women have dementia, because they don't understand the role that estrogen is playing in their life. But even more than that, what is driving the estrogen issue? And that's why sessions like these are important, to educate people about how to take care of their bodies. When you undergo emotional stress, what do you think happens? So you switch on the sympathetic nervous system. Once the sympathetic nervous system is switched on, you lose conscious control. That is why you do things and say things that you say, that is not me. But really it is you, because you are who you are in an emergency. So when the sympathetic nervous system is switched on, one of the first things that happen is that, one, besides losing conscious control, your digestive system stops working the way it's supposed to. So you stop digesting well. Your enzyme production is going to change. If you are not digesting well, how are you going to get nutrients to build the tissues? It would not be the way it ought to be. There is what we call a special axis called the HPA axis. Hypothalamus, regulate the sympathetic nervous system. So the hypothalamus releases the gonadotropic hormones, and then you have telling the pituitary how to tell the other glands to behave. In stress, you need to survive, so your body needs more adrenaline. So the adrenal glands must produce more adrenaline. Now, where does the adrenaline come from? Well, it's from in your brain, the dopamine. The dopamine, which is a very important neurotransmitter to keep you happy with normal things, to be able to appreciate the sunset, the singing of the birds, the light in the moon, and a baby's smile. You need dopamine for that. But whenever you're under stress, your own body, to enable you to survive, is going to take that dopamine and convert it into adrenaline so that you can survive. But there is a cost, because as your dopamine set point drops below the threshold, you become anxious, irritable, cussy, fussy, hitty, fighty. Now, tell me, then what kind of wife, girlfriend, mother, auntie, Christian, or work are you going to be? But if you don't understand these things, then how are you going to make an intervention? Because you may say, oh, I am changing. You're in midlife, I am changing. Everybody's noticing that you're not the same as you used to be. You used to be a nice, sweet guy or a nice lady, and now you're changing, because there are changes in the biological terrain based on what we are being exposed to. So all the stress, output, more work, you get promoted, more money, more demands on you, but you have not changed your nutrition. There's no timeout. So now I'm going to pause the meeting and digress a bit. So this part of the meeting shouldn't be recorded or played anyway. If I were to get into policy, women would not work 8 to 4 or 9 to 5. Women, you are going to start by the earliest 9 o'clock and you finish by 2 o'clock. Check your physiology. You are not good after 2 on the job. And before 9, you have already had to do something at home. You are tired. You come to the office and you are a beast. Oh yeah, because you see, you have to understand function. When God where you are best suited. And what I've recognized in studying the physiology of women is that there is a framework, a time that you are at your best. After that time, you have to push it. Before that time, you have to get up to speed, which makes then you are sitting all day. How many women you know in your workplace have fibroids and polycystic ovaries? And come tomorrow to the session and you'll understand why you have fibroids and polycystic ovaries. I know you do a lot of statistics and folks are looking at all these statistics and you hear how much thousands have diabetes, how much thousands have high blood pressure. Those statistics are not as accurate as you think. More people have diabetes than they think. Much more. And like I said, tomorrow evening we're going to learn why we are saying this. These things are creating real problems. So if you don't handle your emotional issues, you're going to have a problem with inflammation. And inflammation is when the body wants to respond to something that is affecting it. Now, besides emotional issues, you have physical trauma that people go through. The knocks in life that you have had, those create problems. Then we are exposed to so many toxins in the environment. You buy a new car, that new car smell, xenoestrogens, that's affecting your estrogen, women. And if your estrogen is dominant, you are predisposed to having what? Your cancers, your hormone-related cancers. Yes, that's very important. You buy new furniture. All these things are creating issues in life. Now, but again, we're talking here about, besides like your physical trauma, you have your nutritional deficiencies. Now, in this processed world, what are we eating? Processed food. Now, when I was growing up, which was not so long ago, we shopped in the backyard or the neighbor's backyard or grandmother's backyard. And when you went to the grocery, you took a list and you handed it to the guy behind the wire. Anybody remember that? And then you had to come back another time to collect your box. True? Then with the advent of the supermarket, we have lots of nicely packaged food that actually is devoid of nutrients. It tastes good. And all these things are affecting our bodies. And we are not taking that into account. So one day, a young lady came to me. She said, my son, he has this allergy problem. And I don't know what to do. I went to the doctor. He's given the medicine's not working. And I said to her plainly, I said, listen, okay. Now, what are you giving him? Are you giving him box juice and all those things? She said, yeah, well, of course, you know. And then, of course, in school you have snack time. God did not design snack time. It's not part of physiology. When we were growing up, there was no snack time. It was breakfast in the morning. You went to school, there was recess. And recess was play like you're mad. And then there was lunch. And the next time you ate was what? In the evening, after you finish your chores. 3 square meals a day. I could never understand that. 3 square meals. Not a triangle. Anyway, whatever. All right, so now, but there is now in the curriculum snack time. Snack time is against physiology. It takes 4 to 5 hours for your meal to digest. You ate this morning, it's now 9:30 or 10, and you're putting something else. So we are building disease by following the economy, because the economy is in conflict with our design. So you have breakfast, and what do people have for breakfast? Well, traditionally, we eat the slavery diet. Carbohydrates. Bread, bake, roti, again. Yeah, but it's all with bread, and we bake wheat. Now, in the 1950s, wheat was hybridized. You hear the fancy word, hybridized. So when I was doing chemistry at A-levels, we talked about hybridization and so on. But the modern word for hybridization is actually genetically modified. Up to 90% of people of African descent are allergic to wheat. And that is the thing we eat the most. We are destroying ourselves as people of color by using wheat. And we don't know. That's why we have always a sinus drainage. If after you eat, you find yourself wanting to sleep, that's one of the first signs of a wheat allergy. You have an allergy to it. So it is slowing you down. Our enzymes can't digest it very well. It makes it hard for our body to break it down. Therefore, if it's not broken down, we cannot absorb it. And then it creates a situation of leaky gut. Holes, literally, makes the cells in the intestines. It's like the cells are supposed to be tightly packed together. They open up. And when they open up, it means that undigested food molecules are getting into the bloodstream. What does that do? The body is going to now raise an immune response. In raising that immune response, some of those molecules look like parts of our body. What is the body going to do? When it finishes destroying those molecules, it's going to start to attack your body. Your rheumatoid arthritis and so on. Autoimmune disease comes in. So there are lots of things that are happening to people and they do not know. Then you go to the doctor and you take some medication. It eases the pain, but then you don't get better. You increase the dosage, change the medication. And it's not that the doctor is not trying to kill you. The doctor is doing the best he can. It's like, if you have children and they're not obeying you, you're doing your best. Whatever that is. And then they go down the road and listen to a perfect stranger, telling them the same thing that you were trying to tell them. I don't believe they set out intentionally to do what they do. They do what they know. You are going to do what you know in a crisis. So we need to understand what we need to keep ourselves healthy, because things can change. You know anybody who have lost a baby? Or maybe you have lost a baby. Or maybe you're trying to have a baby. Do you know why most people are losing babies? And women, you need to be more sensitive to those who are unable to get pregnant. You don't do your friends that or your fellow women. Don't look down upon them. You have no idea the trauma that they are going through. Don't laugh at them. No, don't do that. Be sensitive to their plight, because many women are dying because they can't conceive. And there are many reasons why a woman can't conceive. I know of a young lady, she's trying to have a baby, and her husband, he can have erections, but when they checked, he produces no sperm. Zero sperm. So unless she divorces him, or he dies, or she has an affair, she will never be able to have a baby. But for most women, their progesterone levels are low. Progesterone is what enables you to keep the baby. Estrogen enables you to have a baby, to get pregnant. Progesterone enables you to keep the baby, and testosterone gives you energy for the process. So if your progesterone levels are low, then you are going to have miscarriages. You ask your doctor, why do you think they give them progestin and these things when you can't keep the baby? It's because your progesterone is low. Why is your progesterone low? You're under stress. And so you're eating too much bread and dumplings and roti. And when you do that, you increase your insulin demand, which increases your estrogen levels, and it makes progesterone lower. And so you can't have a baby. It's easy if people understood what to do. So now, what are we going to do about all this situation? All these people walking around with inflammation. Oh, one more. So you were nice 34, 24, and 38. Do you know what that is? Statistics, 34. Women, you, 34, 24, 38. Or maybe some more than that. And now you find you are now 38, 38, and 48. And you have been going to the gym. You have been exercising. You've been watching the people in the gym who are still 34, 24, and 38. And you knew where you were, but there seemed to be a gulf between where you were and now where you are and where you want to be. Now, one of the first signs of something you call insulin resistance is the position of belly fat. That doesn't go away. We're going to explore some of that tomorrow evening as well. Why that is happening? Because now, if you don't know what is happening, how can you make the intervention? And you are working to make money, and you are spending the money, and it's not working. You know, the only ones who tend to, to do certain things without results continually are human beings. Think about it. If a butterfly goes to a rose, as beautiful as it is, and there is no nectar, does it stay? If a hummingbird goes to a flower, hibiscus, and another hummingbird took the nectar before, does it stay? But human beings continue to do the same thing. They get the same results, and then they wonder why. It's amazing. We need to have a shift in the paradigm in terms of how we think about health. Truth be told, if you keep trying to address your chemistry with drugs, you will not get the best results. They may be necessary sometimes. And if something is damaged, unless you have to cut it out, God placed it there for a reason. So if you've had a hysterectomy, know that you are not the same person. It changes your personality. It does. Now, when your personality is changed, it means you are not the same person. And if you're not the same person, if I were married to you, then I don't have the same wife. And man, if you take your prostate out, you're not the same person. We need to understand what is causing these problems. And then now we can make the appropriate intervention. I believe that everything that we need was designed by God, and it is really close by. It's not really, really far away. So I work with this little thing here. I don't know if anybody knows it. I don't know if you can see it. You know? Maybe you can pass it around, Stephen, so folks could see it. It's something that is very, I should say, we should know. And it's right here in Tobago. There are lots of things in Tobago that people are unaware of. We have probably over 500 medicinal plants in Tobago. Many of them have not been studied or people have forgotten. Before there was a pharmacy, there was the medicine woman in the community, not so? Right, and the incidence of chronic disease was significantly less. True? Right, but all of a sudden, the economy has opened up. We have money now, so we can buy stuff. Oh, I was telling you that story about the lady with the baby, right? The child who had the allergies. Let me finish up that story. So she's giving him, all these refined foods because she's a working mother, and she can buy the stuff. So she buys the stuff for snack time. 250 ml of processed juice contains at least 25 grams of sugar. Now, the World Health Organization tells us that for an adult, 25 grams of sugar is the amount you should have per day. But in one snack, a child is having that. What is it doing to the child? And then we say they have dollars to the doctor every time for something that isn't working, and then you have no problem going to the shop to buy things that is damaging your child. You have no problem with that. But to tell you, please stop giving him wheat. Stop giving him dairy. Stop giving him the refined sugars without doing anything else. Just give him some healthy food and he's going to be better. Guaranteed. One of my co-workers had a nephew who had asthma. He's in the hospital almost every week. He's using the puff all the time. And in desperation, then she said, what can I do? What can I do? I said, okay, no problem. Take out the wheat, take out the dairy, take out the refined foods. Don't give him no tart and pone, we love to do that. We kill our children, we kill ourselves with sweetness. Tart, pone, cake, roly-poly, drops, ice cream, chip, coconut, You guys remember those days? Right. But you see, we were saved because we were running around. People live in apartments now. They don't have no space. We had animals to take care of. We were working out that sugar. They are sitting behind the device now, so they're not moving. So now, as we took those out and we added some minerals, remember we need nutrients to build it. He has not had to go back What can I do? Itch. He has jock itch. Now, if he's plant-based, he shouldn't be getting these things. So I asked him, what are you having for breakfast? 5 servings of fruit. He loved his bananas, his pineapple. I said, take out the fruit. He said, what do you mean? I said, the fruit. Fungus loves sugar. It's fungus growing on you. Fungus loves sugar, even though it's good. Reluctantly, he did take them out. He called me back in a week. The itch is 75% gone. He started back to eat the fruit. The itch came back. So then he decided he now believed to take the fruit out, because even though it's healthy, it's not healthy for him. Why? He has an overgrowth in his system. He's operating on a full cup. Anything will push the cup over the edge. What did he do now? He took that out, and after, in about 2 to 3 months, all gone. Now, yesterday, I got a message. There is this guy. And he has a prostate issue. His prostate is swollen, and he's having a problem. It helps in balancing out estrogen, so both men and women. As a matter of fact, if you ask your grandparents, they had cattle. When the cattle could not conceive, they gave them mini root. And they'll have babies. Calves. So now, I was doing a session for a program a couple of weeks, and he was looking online, and he saw I talked about the mini root. And what did he do? He said, I need to get some of that plant. So I took a picture and I showed him the plant, and then he got some. That was 2 weeks ago, because his prostate was enlarged. He couldn't pee properly. He would pee and then the bladder would still be full and so on. He messaged me yesterday. He says, for the first time, I can now empty my bladder. The mini root is free. It's in his backyard. But he didn't know. How many other people have gold in their backyard and they don't know? Or in your neighbor's backyard and you don't know? Yeah? Right. So one more story. Here's another guy who's living in the UK, living mini root. Very, very helpful. So before I leave, this is actually the seeds of the English plantain, water plantain. You may have known about it, you may have seen it. English plantain, it grows like a shrub, kind of like a pak choy. It is a powerful plant. This plant now is one of the best anti-inflammatories for your digestive system. And the thing about it is that, unlike pak choy, you have to buy the seedlings and you only get one crop. The more leaves you pull off from plantain, the more leaves grow back. And all these here are seeds. Have you ever heard about psyllium husk? This is where we get psyllium husk from. The seeds of the plantain is what they grind up and call psyllium husk. And it's there. Now, this plant, where I'm living, there are lots of wasps, Jep. So when I'm trimming my trees, they tend to sting me a lot. I don't have a problem. They sting me, no problem. I just break a piece of leaf, chew it up a bit, make what we call a spit poultice, and I put it there. In 30 seconds, no swelling, no pain, no irritation. If you have eye problems, you can squeeze the juice from the plantain and put it in your eyes. You'll be surprised at how much caca come out when you do that. So what God has for us, they're there. It's just for us to learn them. And I'm not one who believes in castigating one branch of medicine. I believe every branch. If you chop, you fall, you break your leg, you get a laceration, you have a bad infection, you had better go to the hospital. invite your friends. You are never going to regret it. And you may be able to help somebody or even yourself. Thank you.
We certainly want to thank, we'll have to call him Dr. Bobb now, right? Because that level of knowledge and the expression of what we have in our environment that can help the people of Tobago to lead more fulfilling lives is certainly clearly outlined. We will hear from him in a more comprehensive way, and he will take questions on that chat tomorrow. We are now getting ready to move into our next segment, which is still in wellness, and it is going to be a session. If you look at your program, you see on the back page a distinguished individual in the person of Mrs. Allana. One second. Forgive the interruption. Yes, so I'm saying we have a program on improving health. And as the program says, Allana Grant is president of Swift International Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation with more than 20 years experience as an entrepreneur. She has over 25 years professional accounting. She's qualified as an integrated health consultant, graduate practical nurse, certified NES health practitioner, and medical missionary. It is our pleasure to have in this forum this morning an entrepreneur of tremendous note who has invested in Trinidad, in Tobago in particular, and she has a beacon up on the hill. She will tell you about that as she speaks. Welcome, Ms. Allana Grant.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. I'd like to thank God first, and I'd like to also thank the organizers of the Trinbago Diaspora Outreach Network, Dr. Andre Phillips and Mr. Stephen Isaac, and the Board of Directors for granting me this outstanding privilege of being part of this momentous event. And I also want to wish you happy independence, everyone here. I was brought up and taught that love is patient and love is kind. My name is Allana Gibbs Grant, and I am the founder of the Swift International Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation. Recently, Honorable Farley Augustine, Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, asked me an important question whilst visiting our center. He said, and I quote, "What prompted you to do this work?" But love from God. I remember she worked at the children's ward at the hospital. My siblings and I grew up having many adopted brothers and sisters. This was because of her love for children. Today, I love and care for persons with intellectual disabilities. Some friends tell me I have the gift of helps, as it takes a lot of love and patience to assist these individuals. These persons are incredibly special to me, just as my fellow Trinbagonians are special to me. I would like you to know today there is no place like home. For the last 2 years, we have been crippled with fear. Many of our loved ones have passed on, and I know every person sitting here has in some way been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. 32 years ago, when I left Tobago, my dream and my love for my family give back all the skills and knowledge that I acquired abroad. And that's how Swift International Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation came to fruition, with much prayer, sacrifice, and training. Wellness for all, and all to the glory of God and the betterment of mankind. Our goal at Swift International Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center is to educate, educate, educate. In my opinion, to have healthier lifestyles, re-education and more education must be done. How do we educate a culture that eats the same foods our great-grandparents ate? But wait, our great-grandparents walked miles to the garden, as Brother Ricardo talked about earlier on. They moved to live. Let's think about that for a second. Today, we jump into our vehicles and drive everywhere. We sit at our desks for 8 hours, and when we get home, we relax until we go to bed. Will you put cooking gas in your car? The answer is no. We would all say that that's insane. But yet, we put substandard things in our body, and we expect our bodies to function right. The question is asked, if you have a faucet inside your bathroom that is continually running, will you just mop up and clean up the water, or will you turn the tap off? It's not a trick question. We will certainly turn it off. These questions are important to ponder today. Our people are sick in mind, body, and spirit, and we must get well. How are we to face the next pandemic? We must change our lifestyles. How can Trinbagonians benefit from a lifestyle center? Well, we would like to teach them to make a shift, a paradigm shift. It may not be a simple task. However, I am determined that we can do it together, one person at a time. Firstly, we would encourage persons to decide to become well, physically, mentally, and spiritually. cannot happen unless a decision is made. Disease is not a thing, it is the absence of a thing, health. Eight laws of health. Anyone can be in a state of wellness once a decision is made and carried out in making that paradigm shift. Many persons will want to believe that we at Majuba Hill, that we are an alternative, that we are practicing something new. But this was God's original plan. How do we assist the body to come back to its original state? The key is improving your health through lifestyle. New start, the 8 laws of health. So many of us may know that, or we are just seeing it for the first time, but this is the 8 laws of health. We have nutrition, exercise, water, sunlight, temperance, air, rest, and trust in God. Welcome to Swift International Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation. Swift International Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center, situated in the quiet, picturesque hills of Goodwood, Tobago. Swift International Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation aims to educate persons about healthy living, with the vision, wellness for all, and mission, all to the glory of God and the betterment of mankind. We offer an opportunity to make a paradigm shift. So we have a signature therapy, but I want to share a quote from a famous author. And my experience so far in utilizing this signature therapy, which is termed the body scan, has shown that many of our people are emotionally unwell. The relation that exists between the mind and the body is very intimate. When one is affected, the other one sympathizes. The condition of the mind affects the health to a far greater degree than we realize. Many of the diseases from which men suffer are the result of mental depression, and we heard wholly imaginary. So let's talk about the 8 laws of health as we go through. But we have a signature scan, which is a non-invasive bioenergetic assessment using a magic mouse. Now, this name was given by a guest that came to our center. After placing a hand on the mouse, gave it that name, the magic mouse. This gives a rich, detailed overview of the body field, the field of energy around us. Now, at our lifestyle center, we practice all the 8 laws of health. And one of the 8 laws of health is N for nutrition. and we have a Back to Eden hygienic restaurant. And we offer whole food, plant-based meals that is both nutritious and delicious. Sorry guys, we don't have meat there. Whole food, plant-based meals. These are some of the meals that we feature there. We also have a store on the nutrition called Morning Glory, which we offer supplements, nuts, seeds, oils, and healthy snacks. We know Mr. Bob talked about snacks earlier on, but these are healthy snacks. So the next one we go to is E for exercise. Back to nutrition before we move on. Nutrition is not only about what we eat, but also what we absorb. Persons with healthy eating patterns live longer and are low risk of health problems. We go to exercise, and we have a gym there at the center. Neglecting exercise is a problem. And impure matter will be thrown off. And a new life and vigor would be experienced in every part of our bodies. Exercise is important. And actually walking and gardening are the best forms of exercise. So we have a gym, but we also encourage people to do walking on the outside. Okay? That's Brian's gym, and we have many people that have signed up for the gym at this time. And so we encourage them to exercise. Then we have W for water. And water is very important because we are made up of water all over our bodies. And so water cools our body. We are made up of it. And dehydration is another issue that we face. Did you know when our body calls for water, when you feel thirsty, we are already 1/3 behind? Water carries oxygen and nutrients and assists nature to resist the disease. But we also use water at our center for healing. And we have so many persons lacking vitamin D. Who would have thought in Tobago that would happen? Come out in the sunshine and gather its wealth. There is joy, sunshine, beauty, and health. Why stay in the shadows? Why sit in the gloom? Come out in the sunshine and blossom and bloom. So goes the words of an old song. We need to get out in the sunlight. And many of us sit in our offices all day long. How are we getting the vitamin D? We need to step outside and get in the sunshine. When we have a break, go outside in the sunshine. It relieves stress and anxiety, and it's also a great form of exercise. We have another therapy that we've started called gardening therapy. And we have found that, as you know, when you do gardening, there's less stress, a lot of less stress. And we want to relieve all the stress, all the stressors in our life. So I see a lady just moving her neck like that, and, you know, I'm sure that she may be a little stressed at this time, but going out in the sunshine can relieve a lot of stress. Work a whole lot, but we don't take time for ourselves to do something we like, or go to the beach. take a vacation, get a rest. We need to balance our lives, and T is for temperance. And finding balance, it's about finding balance in our everyday activities. Not too much, not too little, just enough. So I want to do something here at this time as we go to the other slide. A is for air. We've been sitting all morning. Why don't we stand up at this time? We're going to be taking some deep breaths. I'm inviting everyone to stand at this time. Those who have fell asleep, those who are awake, let's stand up at this time. And I want you to place your hands on your abdominal area here. And what I'd like you to do is we're doing some abdominal breathing. And we're going to breathe in and hold it for a couple seconds and then let it out with our mouths. Okay? Let's try that at this time. Let's breathe in. Not letting your shoulders move. Just breathe in and feel it here. 1, 2, 3. Let's breathe out. We're doing it 3 times. Let's go again. Breathe in and breathe out. One last time. Breathe in and breathe out. How do you feel? Thank you. Really feel it. Air, when we are stressed and need to relax, don't go watching TV. Don't go to the pantry looking for something to eat. Let's take a deep breath. And we can do a lot of that. We can do it for 10 to 12 minutes. We can have that calming rhythm, and you will find that you will feel the stress just melting away. So let's try that when we get home. Air is more beneficial than medicine and more important than food. R is for rest. Now we have a little massage area that can also relax us, besides the fresh air that we can get. And that fresh air can be gotten early in the morning or after the rain falls. It's the best time. But we have a parlor there where you can come and have a massage. And massage therapy is a relaxing way to improve mental and physical well-being. So we invite persons to come over sometimes and just get a massage and just relax. R is for rest. And we have Joyce's Massage Parlor. Then we have rooms available there at our center also, that if you want to take a little night away, a weekend away, and just relax. You know, we're dealing with a lot of stressors in this world. Don't talk about the pandemic. We need to be able to relax. And as I mentioned before, we are finding so many people that are emotionally unwell. And we need to have a balance in our lives now. So we have rooms available where you can come and stay for a weekend, or you can relax after one of our therapies, or take a night away from your home into the clean country air. And we have Dorcas Place, which has a triple occupancy also. And the final T in the whole new start is trust in God. No matter how we go or what we do, nothing is impossible with God. He is the great healer. And I believe, in my opinion, that we need him in the healing process. So those of you who have never been to our center, we also invite people to come and to learn to trust God for their healing. And Philippians 4:6 says, be anxious for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. So that is the last T. So, for many of you who have never been to our facilities in Goodwood, as someone said, good things are coming out of the east. I'd just like to give you a virtual tour of our facility. I want to mention that we have upgraded. We had our grand opening in February of this year, February 7th, and we have upgraded our facilities, but this is the tour that we featured at the opening. I don't know if the song is... We don't have any song. So just to recap in the meantime, whilst they're working on that, what we talked about so far is new start. We'd like to invite everyone to have a new start in life. A new start includes nutrition, exercise, water, sunlight, temperance, air, rest, and trust in God. Hello everyone. Welcome to Swift International University Lifestyle Center. My name is Allana, and I'm the CEO of this beautiful facility. This facility is God's place. This facility, we want to invite you to come. It is here for wellness, for the whole person. We invite you to come to learn to eat right. We invite you to come here to be well. And so we have a number of therapies here that can help. We also promote New Start, which stands for nutrition, exercise, water, sunlight, temperance, air, rest, and trust in God. This is God's place, so follow me. So this is our beautiful facility. This is the area where people will come in and register for services here. So what we've done is we've named the different rooms after some person. Part to play in this project, and we named this room Brandy's Place. This is our consultation room. This room is the Lion of Judah conference room. So this is the Morning Star store. This is a store where we have supplements and health food on sale. So this is Brian's place. Brian played an important role in this project in the beginning, and he loved the gym. So this is the gym. Next we have Joyce's place. This is a massage room. This room is named after my mom. She loved to be pampered. And so here we have a massage place. We have a hygienic restaurant. It's called Back to Eden. This is where we'll have all nice and delicious food. This therapy is called demon therapy. And for 8 minutes twice a day, it will help you with microcirculation. Next we have Ali's place. This is my nickname, and this is hydrotherapy. And I love hydrotherapy because God uses simple remedies, ice, water, and steam, to help with treatment and trauma. Also with hydrotherapy, we use water, contrast showers. We have a tub here where you can come and soak. And also there's a shower where we can use hot and cold treatments for you. So this is where our guests will come. After doing hydrotherapy, sometimes you are tired and you need to rest. And so this is Rahab's place. We have a beautiful view over here. I like to come out on the porch and sit and look at the beautiful wood view. So this room is Ika's place. This is a special room. My mother-in-law was supposed to be part of this group of the persons that we were going to take care here. So we have a number of other guest rooms. By the way, we have actually 12 beds. And this is one of the rooms. We also have another single bed in this room. And I love this room because of the color of the bright. So this is a little more of Lika's place. So this is Esther's place. This is another one of the guest rooms. We'll have our guests come in here and have some of that delicious meal that will be served here today. And we also have another guest room here with 2 beds. And that's the end of our tour. Thank you for being with me on this tour at Swift International Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center. We hope to see you soon. So we now have a call to action. Again, how can individuals benefit from the first ever lifestyle center in Tobago? In the East, truly wonderful things can come out of the East. Our goal is to educate, educate, educate. In fact, we have a number of therapies that are available, and also we have a number of programs coming up soon. On the 25th of September, we have a health fair. And from the 26th to the 30th of September, we start a diabetes camp. We have a doctor on board that is going to be doing these sessions for us. We are going to have cooking classes, instructing persons how to properly prepare meals, how to balance our meals in the right proportions. In continuing our call to action, we need your assistance. We are now a foundation, and we are here to assist persons to achieve their optimal health. Most individuals come through our door not being able, doesn't have any funds. Thus, we need financial support. We need volunteers. We need persons with expertise in mental health counseling. Anyone willing to assist our people, willing to have patience and share love one person at a time, we need you. This is a call to action. Someone suggested recently that Swift International Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center is one model that can be done in different areas in Tobago. We can do it in Crown Point, we can do it in Charlottesville, we can do it in Moriah. This is a model that we can do in Tobago, also in Trinidad. So this is a call to action. Help us to reach others in need, and let's make a significant difference that can benefit our community. Thank you. And this is the information on how we can be reached. I think I'll go back to the last one. Thank you again.
Let's give her a rousing round of applause. You see the level of investment in the East, in Goodwood. That is really remarkable. And I do hope that you will find the time to visit there before September is out, especially those of you who know you're preparing children to go back to school and so on, and you have to have the energy to deal with it. And her team were part of our medical outreach program on all 3 days. She gave that service, free medical outreach, on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We salute you. And it was a very tiring experience, especially in the Scarborough program, which was Tuesday and Wednesday. Persons who wanted to get the body scans left early after work and came at like 3:30, but at one time we had advertised going to 5. They were quite disgruntled when they realized they were not able to benefit from body scans. So we just had to say to the people who came after 3, find them up at the beacon on the hill. Now we are preparing for a presentation. We have moved up the sports presentation on the National Collaboration UK, and this is going to be dealt with by Trisha George. So at this point in time, we are flipping the laptops to go back to the main laptop, and then we'll pull up Ms. Trisha George presentation. I want to say to you, we have jerseys on sale. They are the commemorative jerseys like I am wearing. $120 for the t-shirt and $140 for the polos. And you can just look at we have 3 main colors now. You can look at them and do a transaction outside with the registration desk. I also want to say to you that the convention program which started yesterday had involved an interfaith service and a very, people say, iconic concert that we held yesterday. But having registered for this conference, and there are some people who will come in tomorrow, they didn't decide to come for 2 days, you are eligible honest Vale. I say Villa Being, you know. A 2-night stay at Villa Being, where 2 nights cost $750 US. That is a place of real enchantment, and it is managed by one of our sponsors, Exceptional Caribbean. So we have those 2 giveaways tomorrow. We are not telling you how the giveaways are going to be done. When you come here about lunchtime, you begin to, at the lunch break, you'll get the first indication of how we are going to do those giveaways for the persons who are eligible, convention. Right, so let me just see if we are anywhere close to. After this session, we will proceed to lunch, and lunch is an opportunity for you to continue the dialogue. We do have an apology from the lead person on the Diaspora Entrepreneurship perspective. That program is shifted to tomorrow morning. That will be the first session before we get into neurological disease. So tomorrow morning, this session. So we are very pleased to have our board director, Mr. George, who is also a director of Trinidad and Tobago Association of the UK, and she is now going to make her presentation, and you should really be tuned in. And people are tuning in on the Gael network, where I am sure we have UK persons tuned in, but this is an important presentation for cultural collaboration, which our goodly lady would share now.
Good morning, everyone, once again, and thank you, Dr. Phillips. I am Trisha Zenisha George, and I'm here representing the Trinidad and Tobago Association UK. You can call us whatever acronyms, TITA UK, TTalk, TTA UK. And just to give you some information about the organization and different ways in which we think we can collaborate with other diaspora groups, whether they are in the States, whether they are in Canada, wherever they are in the world, and also to provide information back to nationals here, because we do have a growing problem when nationals arrive and things don't actually work out. So a bit of background about the organization itself. We are a registered charity. Association actually is going to be celebrating 60 years as an organization, actually officially formed. They were in existence from 1956, where they went through different transformations, etc. But on the 31st of August, 1962, when we became independent, the organization was officially formed. So we do have a 60th anniversary coming up as well. As I said, it is made up of Trinidad and Tobago nationals. We have a board, so I'll be using some different terminology to what you would probably be accustomed to, because I do recognize that, you know, here in the region we are very Americanized. So I will be using some different terminology. So we do have a board of trustees. I am one of the trustees, and my responsibility sits with governance. So I have the remit of ensuring that we've got all our policies in place, etc., and everything that we're doing, from correspondence, external to the organization, to anything that goes out, and even within the organization, that we are crossing our T's and dotting our I's. That's something I like doing, so I was put into that position. We do, if for your information, where we are located as our headquarters, we actually own that building. And with the High Commissioner based in the UK is actually our patron. So within our constitution, it is written that the post holder as the High Commissioner is the patron of the organization. And we are trying at this time to build, you know, quite a relationship with the High Commission, so that we are there to support them in the work that they do, as long as it's within our remit, and also be a signpost for nationals when they arrive in the UK. So we are building relationships over the decades that the organization has been in existence. It hasn't just been Trinidad and Tobago nationals involved in the organization. Unlike today, I suppose back in the late 50s, 60s, 70s, there was, I suppose, more camaraderie amongst the nationals of the various islands. So it was not uncommon for a Grenadian or a Vincentian or St. Lucian to be part of the organization, to be supporting the work that the organization was doing. Over the decades, the organization has been involved in community projects, running teaching programs, you know, hosting events, etc. And we would like, in this current board, to start back those sort of programs so that we are very community-based. Because as I said, as a registered charity, we are obligated and we are held to account for fulfilling the objectives that we have listed and have registered with the Charity Commission. So we have begun to do some outreach work. We have ran a soup kitchen. We have been involved in another project with a Trinidadian who owns a restaurant. And every Saturday, they just put out piles and piles of food and grocery and so on, and invite the needy in the community to come along and shop without paying. So we have been involved in those sort of activities. Just to note, we are aware, or I don't know if you were aware, that at the height of the pandemic, we had a number of Trinidad and Tobago nationals who were actually stranded in the UK. Their borders were closed. People couldn't get out. And for some of them, where they were, it was not a problem. But for others, it was a big issue. You know that you've traveled abroad for a specific period of time, and it's like you've overstayed your welcome. So with the two, this is what you know. And when you come, it may not be difficult, but it is a different way of existing. It's a different way of life. The way we operate is different from what you would be used to back home. And we are finding that even professionals who come to the UK are not always necessarily correctly briefed as to how the system works, what they can expect, what they can do, what they can't do, what they can access, what they can't access. So the Trinidad and Tobago Association UK, as I said, we are positioning ourselves to be that signpost. So nationals who are in the country, who are struggling, who don't know where to turn for whatever reason, they can reach out to us to get information, to get support, to be directed. People come to countries, they paint a picture about what this person who they are enticing or encouraging to come abroad, what that new life would be like. And oftentimes people get there and that is not the case. And they don't necessarily know where to turn, they feel trapped, etc. And we do, unfortunately, have some horror stories, but what I can say for those who have reached out for help or we have been made aware of, there has been, a positive outcome for them. So we are quite happy about that. When Dr. Phillips reached out to me and told me about what TDON is hoping to accomplish, is working towards in terms of the collaboration across the diaspora, I was like, yeah, I am interested in that, and I can see where both the Trinidad and Tobago related charities that I'm in can actually be involved in that. What I did say to him is that with the Trinidad and Tobago Association UK, we are not necessarily health focused. But of course, if someone requires information that is health related, we can play a role there. With the organization, which I we put on functions. We are encouraging Trinidad and Tobago nationals who are coming into the UK to get in touch. We put on social events. We are looking to, it's saying there, promoting if someone wants to put on an art exhibition, for example, someone wants to put on a cultural show or whatever, to get that exposure out there. We are placed to, to be alongside that and to guide and to support that. So that's just, an overview of some of the things that this organization is actually about. And it's to let nationals here know that we do exist and we are willing to guide and support. We do have an ongoing or an unfolding situation I was made aware of this morning. And it's one of those things where you think after all these decades of artists and entertainers going to foreign countries to perform. Today's the Notting Hill Carnival, if you know anything about that. And, promoters get in touch or they come down to Trinidad and Tobago and they paint whatever picture, they produce whatever contract. We don't know where the guidance comes from in terms of people reading their contracts and understanding their terms of engagement and exactly how things are meant to work when they arrive in the UK. And we are hearing of stories where artists are becoming unstuck. And yes, the High Commission is there, but we also have to bear in mind that with the High Commission, they are governed by the laws of Trinidad and Tobago, by the ministry which is responsible for that entity we have at 42 Belgrave Square. So they, in some instances, are quite limited in terms of the actual assistance that they can provide to nationals, because they have to be guided by the protocols which govern them. And one thing I would like to say here is that please, if you are entering into any form of contractual services, whether you are coming for nursing, you are coming to study, you are coming to perform, you are coming to conduct business, whatever it is, I am suggesting really strongly that before you sign, before you buy your plane ticket, before you depart the shores of Trinidad and Tobago, make sure you get professional advice. Because it's very difficult and sometimes very heartbreaking. We had a very sad case, but as I said, there was a very good outcome for that young lady. But, you know, you come there, you've spent all that money. We know it's not a cheap ticket to go to the UK. And you come there and nothing is working out. You find out that what you were told or what you were promised is nowhere near your reality. So what do? People feel trapped, as I said. So it's just an appeal. If you are, it doesn't matter whether you, I can talk for the NHS, that's our National Health Service. Special information. So this is not about discouraging anyone from coming to seek their fortune, to progress themselves, whatever, but be clear what you are actually entering into before you actually sign and commit your nationals here in Trinidad and Tobago who are now looking to go abroad, and also vice versa. I don't know if anyone here was following what we call the Windrush scandal that we had. Yeah, so late 1940s, 1950s, you had the wave of migration, yeah, from the islands to the UK. Britain needed to be rebuilt. So people from the Caribbean came to the UK to work. And like what is happening now, what they were promised was not the reality. But these people came as citizens of Britain, because at that time no one had actually achieved independence. Independence came from 62 onwards. So they had British passports. What has happened over the decades? Records have been destroyed. And people are now finding it difficult to prove their citizenship status. So some people have actually been deported. Some people, without realizing they've traveled, And then when it's time to return, they've been barred from returning. So they haven't got access to anything. So we're saying, please just be very, very careful when you are about to embark. And what we don't want to see is just history just keep repeating itself. Again, it's not about discouraging anyone, but it's just letting you be very aware of that. And of course, the other way of it, people who want to come back home. I'm hoping when I get to retirement age, I can come back home. But I don't have information as to what is happening on the ground here. So an organization such as TDON, where you're focusing on the diaspora, Dr. Phillips, we would be expecting information to be coming that way as well. So just putting you on notice, yeah? In a few years' time, when I'm ready to retire, I would love to come back to Tobago, yes? So I would need information. So just a quick thing on healthy collaborations, improved connectivity. You have to be who are based in North America. We would like to explore, doing something meaningful with those groups. Having the conversations, but remembering what the focal points and goals are. Who is actually going to be benefiting from this? Who are the nationals who are actually going to be benefiting? And are we just going to restrict it to our work just to nationals, or are we going to be looking regional? These are some of the things. So we hope that our presence and representation here at this conference will provide the various opportunities. So we build the global relationships, not just looking at what's happening in the UK and communicating with TDON here in Tobago. Create a hub for response to health and social crises. We have nationals in the UK who are in positions where they can't help themselves, but as people who we have this pride, we don't know of nationals who require assistance, but they just will not reach out. People don't necessarily tap into for whatever reason, but when they are given the information and they understand how it actually point in time, establish a global fund to achieve these things, because we know that some little investment, some donation, some sort of corporate funding, etc., is usually required to get things off the ground and to keep things going. So we use our watchwords: together we aspire and together we achieve. And it is something that we strongly believe in. So I'll just close in saying that if you are going to be in the UK anytime soon, do please get in touch. Yes, I'm happy to do a bit of tour guide. I can do London, central London quite easily with anyone. Yes, and I love there's certain spots outside of London I like taking people to. So you have, you start building, that support network, because trust me, out there it's very important that you have some sort of support network. So we're just saying, TTA UK, we are there, we exist, and we are for the nationals of Trinidad and Tobago. So thank you very much for your time.